Hi there. My name is Eli Gillespie, and I am the owner of Gillespie Insurance Services in Redlands, California. And I would like to talk to you today about PEOs. Whether you're brand new to PEOs, you're just a little PEO curious, or you are a seasoned veteran when it comes to PEOs, lots of experience, this video is for you. Hopefully it can help you. We're just going to run down some of the few basics of PEOs, answer some frequently asked questions about them, and then in the end, I will even attempt to see what a PEO could cost given a few situations. So first off, what is a PEO? Okay, a PEO is what it stands for is a professional employer organization. And what it does is it handles certain professional services for a business, for your business. You contract out with the PEO, it handles the services, and you receive the benefits. You pay for the service, you receive the benefits. But it's a little bit more in depth than a typical vendor because a PEO becomes a part employer of your business. There are two types of PEOs. A PEO, there's one that's a co-employer, and the other is an employer of record. So in the co-employer model, you partner with the PEO, and the two of you together are the employers of your employees, and the PEO will handle certain things as the employer, as you would as an employer. The employer of record is where it takes over the employment of all your employees, and you lease them back from them. In both cases, you have control over the operations of your business as you have the whole time. So you might be asking, well, how does this differ from a vendor like a payroll? So any vendor that you use a service with, a payroll service provider, a HR service provider. Well, the difference is with the PEO, the PEO assumes either co-employer or full employer liability of its activities and its services that it performs for you. Okay, so what kind of services does a PEO provide? All right, great question. At a minimum, at its core, a PEO will provide payroll and payroll processing. Okay, so it handles the taxes and it handles the payroll for your business. That is the core of PEOs. That's how they got started. I know of no other PEO that will enter into a contract with you without doing the payroll. Okay, the second is they perform HR services, administrative services, the things that as a small business, you, the owner, are probably stuck doing on your own and you hate it. Maybe you love it. I don't know. But the PEO will do things like create the employee handbooks. They'll have the employee applications. They'll do the hiring. They'll do the hiring paperwork, the I-9s, the W-4s. They handle these things. If you have to terminate someone, they process that for you. So they take it off your plate. The PEO will do 401ks. Will do the handling of your retirement package. It does it. The third component of a PEO is insurance. So many PEOs, if not all of them, offer some sort of insurance. That will be workers' comp insurance, and group benefits. Some PEOs will do just the comp, but no health. Others will do the opposite. They'll just do group health, but they don't like to do comp. Sometimes those coverages, those policies are mandatory to join with the PEO. Sometimes they're just optional, and sometimes they're not available. But as the insurance agent, I can tell you most of my conversations start with someone who's looking for insurance, and we explore a PEO with all its offerings as an option. And I will also say the co-employer versus employer of record, which one's better? There's no one that's really better. There's just certain circumstances that fit your needs better. And so that's how you decide when it comes down to it. I'll say that I primarily deal with mostly smaller businesses, and we do a co-employer situation. That's the one I'm most familiar with, and it seems to be the one that fits the most with most businesses. All right. So now that we know what it is and what it does, what it can do, what a PEO is all about, let's talk about what are the advantages? What are the pros and cons? What are the pros? What are the pros of doing work, joining forces with a PEO? Well, one, a PEO can reduce your complexity in handling the admin of your business. So most small businesses, it's the owner starts out as an owner and then they starts hiring people, and all those tasks, all the laws that keep changing about employee wage laws, PTO laws, do you have to have a retirement plan or not? Do you have to offer group health or not? All these laws, they change. They tend to get more voluminous and perhaps more complex. And the PEO will take care of that for you. So one advantage of a PEO is all that work is offloaded to the PEO. And when you offload work to the PEO, this brings us to reason 2 that a PEO can help you. An advantage is it reduces your payroll. So it reduces the payroll, which is a cost, and the associated costs of having an in-house employee or a team of in-house employees. It reduces their hours. Maybe you don't need certain people anymore. Maybe they can just, once the PEO handles its work, your former HR manager / marketing manager can just be fully focused on marketing, things like that. Okay, next, a PEO can reduce your insurance costs. Okay, so I mentioned workers' comp and group health. They can reduce your costs. PEOs are often specialists in doing business with certain high-risk businesses. The businesses that have employees who are out in the field, up on poles, up on roofs, on ladders, in cherry pickers, in combines and harvesters, up there doing work that could be potentially dangerous if they get in an accident. And that's the specialty of a PEO. So they just offer good rates on the workers' comp. So that's a reason to join up with a PEO potentially. And some of them offer better rates for problems. So maybe you're not necessarily a high risk business, but you've had a lot of claims and you have a high X mod and you have high rates and your current company is going to non-renew you. And your only option now is the state insurance plan. Well, the PEO could be a potential fit for you, offering a much better rate than you could get on the open market for your workers' comp. And on health, the PEO can save you money on health because health is a fixed rate for small groups. Small group is anything with 50 employees or less. So if you have 49 employees and you get insurance for all 49 of them on the open market, you're paying the small group rate. A PEO, because you're joining in with this giant PEO organization, can get you large group rates, which are less. So you have 2 employees, you're starting out, you could save some money through group health. Or if you have 49 employees, even if you have 100 employees, you can probably, once you get in the large group, the rates they're variable and a little more negotiable. And so it's an opportunity to potentially save on insurance. Okay, reason number 4, an advantage of a PEO is job costing. So a number of businesses, contractors, farms, any custom work, maybe not a farm, but a custom farmer, a custom manufacturer, someone who does custom work and they get the job based on the proposal that they offer with a rate, and they're beholden to that rate now. Okay, the job proposal that they offer has their labor and the materials. That's typically what your job costs are to get that job. So when you're estimating a job cost, it pays to be accurate. One of the wild cards about job costing is that taxes can often fluctuate. And that's because it depends on when you hire people, what their tax cap is. It starts out high, goes down, and then maybe you let them go, then you have to hire someone else and they have a high tax. And so your tax rate could be all over the place. And a few little points can make the difference between a profitable job and a non-profitable job. So a PEO can save you money because they have a consistent tax rate, and it will help you know. You'll know what your tax rate is, and then you can bid a job at a consistent rate, at an accurate rate. All right. So those are the top reasons I would say that are the top advantages of a PEO. There are a few others that really are a little more specific to the employer of record type, and that's if you're international, multi-state, expanding rapidly. Sometimes the employer of record is a better fit. That's a pro on the employer of record side, maybe not as much, like the international, especially maybe on the co-employer, but those situations are, I would say, a little less common. So that's, maybe 4B reason advantage for PEO. Okay, so what types of businesses are a good fit for a PEO? That's my next frequently asked question. I'm this type of business. Would I be a good fit? Okay, well, if you're a small business, doesn't matter the industry, and you are looking to either add group health at your lowest cost possible, or you have a group plan, you want to save money on your group health, you're a good fit if you're small group because you get the large rates, large group rates, not large rates, small rates for a large group. Okay. Businesses that are just drowning in paperwork, admin, uh, tax forms that they have to send for wage garnishments, all these things that slowly add up over time and chip away at your life. Any business that just seems to be drowning in paperwork is a good fit for a PEO because it offloads it to them. Businesses with workers' comp problems, high rates on workers' comp, great fit for PEO, regardless of the class of business you're in. It can be a benefit. It's worth taking a look oftentimes at the PEO versus the open market and see what's a better rate for you. And then you can decide if you want to join the PEO and all its other services. Okay. Any business that does job costing. I mentioned contractors, anyone who's got a gig, anyone who gets paid by the gig and their gig has a fixed cost that they're beholden to, that they have to stick with, and they have to estimate their cost in order to put enough profit. So if there's a mistake, they're still hopefully profitable. So anyone who's doing job costing and really wants to have a way to get it dialed in accurately, good fit for a PEO. And bonus reason why you might be a good fit for a PEO is if you are sick and tired of final audits. Are you sick and tired of final audits on your workers' comp? As an insurance agency owner, watching things go, I've seen so many audit issues in the last few years. And I don't know what's going on, to be honest. Who knows? It's the auditor reached out, the business didn't get the email, they didn't do the audit, and then all of a sudden they get a big penalty fee invoice to them because they didn't do the final audit. Or they estimated their payroll, they reported their payroll, and at the end of it, the workers' comp company said, nope, your estimates are wrong. After you sent me your payroll records, we see that it's much more, and so your workers' comp is going up. And that's, fair is fair. A workers' comp needs to be based on accurate payroll. But I've seen a lot of mistakes and miscommunications happen with final audits, and it's just a hassle for the business owner. You don't want to deal with the risk of a canceled work comp policy midterm, making it hard to get new workers' comp because you didn't do the final audit or you did it wrong and they want to charge you a lot of money and so on and so forth. You get the idea. If you want to never have an audit again, final audit, PEO could be a great fit for you. You could be a great fit for a PEO. Why do you never have a final audit? Well, that's because the PEO is your payroll and it's your workers' comp. They're just talking amongst themselves. They don't ask you for data. They don't ask you to report payroll numbers to them and then check your work. They do it. There you go. Okay. So last question, you may be very curious. How much does a PEO cost? Glad you asked. Here we go. All right, so here is a little form I made that will show you what a the workers' comp. We'll look at the workers' comp costs. We'll look at the admin costs, and then we'll look at the health costs. And we're going to start out with a contractor. Whoops. Okay, so this is a plumbing contractor. And it has 13 total employees at 1.1 million in payroll, and 6 high-wage employees, 500,000 payroll. 6 low-wage employees, 500,000 in payroll. 2 high-wage employees, those are your foremen, your managers, long-time experts that show up on the job site and make sure things get done. 300,000 payroll for them. You can see the rates here. 3.6 rate for the low wage, 2% rate for the high wage. Then those are pretty good rates. So this is not an actual rate from a rate chart. These are just what I've seen. It's a good low average. Okay. Outside sales, this business has a couple salespeople and it has a few office workers. Okay. Really low rates for them, almost non-existent, 0.3%, 0.2%. That's fairly normal for these classifications of employees. So in the end, with your 1.1 million in payroll, your workers' comp cost is $24,750 per year. That's $2,063 a month. Now we're going to add in your admin costs. This is the cost for the PEO to do all that work that it does. Okay, so I'm going to start with 1.5. Can you get lower than that? Yeah, probably. You can get lower than that. Maybe higher, depends on the services that the PEO office offers. But there you have 1.5, and this is based on payroll. So this is 1.5% of payroll, giving you a total cost of $16,500. That's $1,375 a month. And you're saying, dang, that seems expensive. That's much more than my payroll service provider right now. Well, maybe not. But remember, this is not only providing more services than just payroll, it is also reducing the work that your in-house employees do. So compare this cost to payroll service provider plus wages that you're paying people. It's one way to look at it. Okay, so total cost so far is $41,250, $34.38 per month. Now we're going to add in health. Do you have to do health? Nah, you don't have to. It depends on the PEO. Most of them, that's an option. So we'll add in the optional health. And I'm going to show you what a small group rate looks like. And so we took, 8 employees out of 13 jump on the plan, and that's $750 a month for them. And at the end of it, that's $72,000 a year, $6,000 a month. So that's a small group rate. Now, let's say you get a better rate, $600 a month. Okay, so remember, we're at $72,000. Now it's down to $57,000. That saved you $1,200 a month just by having a large group. Okay. Now these plans, this is a pretty good plan. Rates vary. There's so much that can vary in an employee health plan. So again, this is like a cost of really good, I would say a really good plan with some benefits, like dental and vision and stuff like that per employee. So there you go. Out the door, you're sliding in at just under $100,000 a year, $82.38 a month. And that's, we can change all these variables. Maybe your rate's 4% because you've had some claims, it's 3%. Okay, now your work comp cost is up, but your health is the same, your admin's the same. Maybe you're with a low, maybe I'd get a 1.2, that saved you another 3,000. So, you're at 3.6 again, 2%. So, 95,000. Maybe you got the optional chiropractic coverage. Maybe you got the optional reconstructive plastic surgery coverage. I don't know if that exists, but now you're back up at 70. So now you're up at 110. But that's a good range. That's a good range. Now I'm going to show you one more thing. This is the office. Let's just say you're a professional office. This is more of a white collar situation. You could be a lawyer's office. You could be a real estate office. You could be an insurance agency. maybe your loan officers. So you have basically, in these cases, you kind of have like two types of employees, your salespeople and your in-house office workers. So here you go. You have 12 salespeople, 3 million in payroll, 15 in-house office workers, 1 million in payroll. So now your payroll is 4 million. Your employee count is 27, still a small group. Your work comp is quite a bit less because before on the contractor, you were looking at 1.1 million in payroll at 24,000 in comp, and now you're 4 times the payroll and half the cost. So there you go, 917 per month. We'll do the same rate. Remember, it's based on payroll. So 1.5 of 4 million. That's now you're looking at a little bit bigger monthly, annual and monthly, of course, rate for your admin costs. So let's say you get down to 1.2, that's significant. You saved 12 grand a year. Was it 12 grand a year? Yeah, no. 60 to 40. Yeah, 12. You save 12 grand a year by going a couple percentage points lower if that's what you can get. Still more expensive than the last one, which is kind of normal, kind of natural. You have more people. There's more work involved with more people. Makes sense. I know the best price is free. Sorry, can't do that yet on this side of heaven. Okay, now for health, let's say we're going to do the same. We're going to get half the people. We're going to say a little over half show up on this health plan, 15. And the cost there is, you've got a bigger group. Maybe you get a lower rate. Maybe you're at 500 a month. Okay, so that's 90,000. Maybe you go real robust, you get up to 600 a month, 108,000. Total cost 167, 13, almost 14,000 out the door. So compare these costs with, especially the admin, compare it with what you're going to be saving once you leave. Whatever situation you're in, what costs you're going to save out in vendor costs, payroll costs, other admin costs to join up with this admin fee. But I hope that gives you an idea of what costs could be like. It's pretty wide, but some of you out there are going, I have no idea what is reasonable. So this is just an attempt at giving you kind of a reasonable estimate of what a PEO could cost you. Okay, now you probably have one final question. Yes, I'm interested. I want to know more. I knew you'd ask that. So how do you contact me to see if maybe you want to get a real quote on a PEO? You want to know what these options are in real numbers based on your real business. Here's how to do that. I'm going to put the link in below the video, and you go to our website, get a quote. We have a specific for workers' comp, single vendor solution, or PEO. Just input your information here, press submit. One of our agents will get back to you and get to know you and your situation a little better and see what would be a good fit for you. We'll get you a quote or multiple quotes. And of course, there's always no obligation. There's no cost to get a quote, just the cost of having a conversation and providing some data and getting to know our people. That's the cost. And if you're interested, we can, of course, get you set up. Well, there we go. That is our basic frequently asked question intro to PEO. Thank you for your time here with me, and I look forward to our next video. Bye now.